Robert Redford, a name that echoes through the corridors of American cinema, continues to symbolize an era where storytelling met quiet charisma and artistic courage. Admired not merely for timeless screen presence, but for the depth of his characters, his vision behind the camera, and his enduring influence on creative culture, he stands as more than a performer. He represents a living chapter of film history. Yet beyond the spotlight and accolades lies a quieter narrative that sparks curiosity. How does his legacy evolve in the present day? Where does his path lead now? And which subtle fragments of his life remain hidden between public memory and personal reflection? The unforgettable moments, the waves of emotion, and the heartfelt appreciation from audiences across the globe will all unfold in today's journey, like scenes woven into a meaningful reel of time. Don't miss it, because you are about to step into a resonant chapter of cinematic heritage, where artistry and memory quietly converge. If you cherish the world of film and admire iconic figures such as Robert Redford, be sure to follow the channel, leave a like, and share your reflections below, because every small interaction helps nurture a space of knowledge, inspiration, and shared appreciation for viewers of every generation. On a quiet autumn afternoon, the 16th of September 2025, the realms of art and cinema seem to slow into a moment of collective contemplation as reflections surrounding Robert Redford gently echoed across audiences worldwide. Revered as a legendary performer, an Academy-recognized filmmaker, and the imaginative force behind the Sundance Institute, his name has long been intertwined with creative courage and cultural influence. At 89, he stands not merely as a figure of fame, but as a timeless symbol etched into the narrative of Hollywood, a legacy shaped by vision, artistry, and inspiration that continues to illuminate the paths of storytellers and dreamers for generations to come. His long and extraordinary voyage through cinema resembles a finished chapter written with unwavering dedication, more than 6 decades poured into artistic expression and a quiet reverence for the natural world, imprinting a resonance that lingers in the memories of admirers everywhere. Robert Redford has never existed solely within the boundaries of performer or filmmaker. Rather, he emerges as an emblem of creative independence, open-hearted vision, and trailblazing energy within the landscape of American film, where influence is measured not only by accolades, but by the inspiration that continues to ripple far beyond the screen. From his breakthrough appearance in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, a motion picture that soon earned mythic status of its own, to celebrated titles such as The Sting, All the President's Men, and Ordinary People, Robert Redford continually unveiled layers of versatility and artistic depth that kept audiences engaged across generations. Yet his influence extended far beyond the screen. He emerged as a catalyst for transformation within the cinematic landscape, encouraging it to grow from a marketplace driven solely by numbers into a creative arena where independent voices could rise, new storytellers could experiment, and imagination itself found wider room to breathe. Throughout his distinguished career, Robert Redford reached a defining pinnacle when he received the Academy Award for Ordinary People, a recognition that reflected not only refined skill but an enduring commitment to cinematic craft. Beyond the boundaries of the screen, his passion flowed toward nature and creative freedom, leading to the creation of Sundance Resort and the founding of the globally celebrated Sundance Film Festival, a cultural beacon that uplifted independent storytellers and helped redirect the course of modern filmmaking toward originality, diversity of voice, and artistic exploration. Although the passage of time has gently revealed the natural limits of the human journey, the legacy of Robert Redford continues to be honored with sincere admiration and quiet respect. Those who know him often portray a figure defined by composure, humility, and a life thoughtfully balanced between artistic expression and an appreciation for the natural world. His influence extends far beyond the bright avenues of Hollywood, a realm synonymous with spectacle and scale, reaching deeply into the independent filmmaking sphere, where his vision has long served as a steady beacon of encouragement for emerging creators seeking authenticity, courage, and creative freedom. Robert Redford can be seen as a quiet bridge, stretching between the luminous avenues of Hollywood and the courageous new voices rising from independent cinema. His legacy is measured not only by the memorable characters he brought to life or the respected films he guided from behind the camera, but also by the creative environment he patiently nurtured, an open landscape where emerging artists were free to explore ideas, learn through missteps, and gradually shape their own identities on the worldwide cinematic horizon. A longtime confidant once expressed with heartfelt sincerity that Robert Redford did more than create motion pictures, he expanded the very language of cinema, allowing artistic expression to breathe with renewed vitality. His life story stands as a quiet monument to perseverance and unwavering dedication, illustrating how steady passion can outlast shifting eras and fleeting trends. The path he carved continues to serve as a thoughtful reminder of the worth of genuine artistry, the kind embodied by individuals who choose to live in alignment with their creative calling, embracing obstacles not as barriers, but as stepping stones that refine purpose and deepen impact over time. Robert Redford, born Charles Robert Redford Jr., is commonly acknowledged as having entered the world in mid-August, 1,936 inches, Santa Monica, California, though historical documentation from earlier periods reflected occasional inconsistencies that later research helped clarify. His beginnings were grounded in a modest, working-class household, rather than an artistic lineage. Raised in an environment shaped by diligence and responsibility, he was influenced by a father, Charles Robert Redford Sr., whose steady career as an accountant reflected quiet perseverance values that would later echo in Redford's own disciplined approach to life, creativity, and long-term dedication to his craft. His mother, Martha W. Hart, was known as a warm and thoughtful presence with a quiet affection for artistic expression, and her influence left a lasting imprint on her son's temperament and outlook on life. Raised along the sunlit Pacific shoreline, Robert Redford spent unhurried summers on the beaches of Santa Monica, where rolling waves, open skies, and endless horizons gently shaped his imagination. That early closeness to nature fostered a lifelong attachment to independence and open spaces values that would later echo through both his personal philosophy and his creative journey. These formative years quietly molded his creative outlook and the way he perceived the world around him. Yet beneath those sunlit memories lay a profound early sorrow. At the age of 11, Robert Redford faced a sudden personal loss that altered the rhythm of his childhood and introduced him, far too soon, to the weight of absence. That moment left an enduring silence in his inner world, becoming one of the most defining and emotionally resonant chapters of his youth, an experience that would later deepen his sensitivity, resilience, and understanding of life's fragile balance. In later reflections, Robert Redford acknowledged that an early personal loss quietly compelled him to chart his own direction, turning inward while discovering an unexpected wellspring of inner strength. The bond with nature he inherited during childhood gradually became a lifelong source of balance and renewal, offering calm when words fell short. Entering adolescence, his interests unfolded across contrasting worlds. He demonstrated discipline and focus on the baseball field, while simultaneously revealing a natural sensitivity to creative expression. This rare blend of physical energy and artistic intuition would later shape a perspective that valued both movement and meaning, action and reflection, as essential elements of a well-lived life. Yet his formative years also carried an undercurrent of restlessness and quiet defiance. Robert Redford was drawn to experiences that promised openness and self-discovery, sometimes stepping away from routine to follow the pull of the ocean or the urge to express himself through spontaneous art. These moments were less about rule-breaking and more about a young spirit testing boundaries in search of identity. After graduating from Van Nuys High School, he received a baseball scholarship to the University of Colorado, a path that seemed promising on paper. Before long, however, the academic setting felt misaligned with his inner compass. Sensing a growing distance between expectation and purpose, he chose to move on, embarking on a reflective journey through California, one that would gradually guide him toward a clearer understanding of who he was meant to become. The passage from a searching youth to a celebrated figure on the world's most visible cinematic stage was far from effortless. Yet it was precisely these trials and periods of uncertainty that refined Robert Redford, shaping him into a creator guided by independence, clarity of vision, and enduring resolve. Rather than following easy formulas, he gravitated toward stories layered with social resonance films that mirrored reality with sincerity and invited audiences to reflect more deeply. Through this deliberate path, his work grew into a source of inspiration that extended beyond entertainment, leaving thoughtful impressions on generations who saw cinema not just as spectacle, but as a mirror of life itself. Beyond his presence on screen, Robert Redford emerged as a dedicated architect of creative community and the guiding mind behind the Sundance Film Festival, a platform that has opened doors for countless independent filmmakers across the world. Through this initiative, he fostered an environment that welcomed originality and fresh perspectives, while also drawing thoughtful attention to environmental awareness and broader social conversations. In doing so, he continually reinforced the idea that art holds the quiet yet transformative power to inspire dialogue, encourage responsibility, and serve as a catalyst for meaningful change. The story of Robert Redford is not a closing chapter, but an ongoing legacy that continues to unfold through time. His image, defined by quiet simplicity, inner fire, and an enduring devotion to freedom and beauty, transcends fame and generations. It lives on as a wellspring of inspiration for those who value creativity, honor the depth of life, and dare to imagine a more thoughtful, humane, and inspired world shaped by art and purpose. After a stretch of uncertain work and loosely defined pursuits, Robert Redford made a decisive choice that would quietly redirect his adult path. In the late 1950s, he set foot in Paris, then went on to spend meaningful time in Florence and London, cities steeped in history, creativity, and layered cultural rhythms. Immersed in these environments, he absorbed new ways of seeing and thinking, experiences that subtly but permanently enriched his artistic sensibility and broadened his understanding of the world beyond familiar boundaries. Within these dynamic European cultural centers, Robert Redford went beyond formal painting studies, surrounding himself with the dialogue between classical heritage and contemporary design found in architecture, galleries, and everyday city life. He absorbed the atmosphere of the old continent with quiet curiosity, allowing its rhythms, contrasts, and philosophies to reshape his way of seeing. Those formative years broadened his inner horizon and ignited a lasting sensitivity to form and meaning, an aesthetic awareness that later surfaced in the clarity of his performances and the thoughtful precision of his work behind the director's lens. Upon returning to the United States in 1958, Robert Redford turned his focus toward the discipline of the stage, choosing craft over chance. He enrolled at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, a demanding environment long regarded as a proving ground for future Broadway talents. The rigorous training and immersive experience he gained there provided a steady framework, laying the essential groundwork from which his artistic identity would steadily take shape and mature. In his formative professional years, Robert Redford stepped onto the Broadway stage, earning recognition through notable productions, including a celebrated work by Neil Simon. There, his effortless charisma and compelling stage presence became unmistakable. These early theatrical experiences sharpened his sensitivity to rhythm, dialogue, and emotional restraint, allowing his craft to mature in front of live audiences. Before long, this growing refinement caught the attention of leading television directors of the era, opening new doors and signaling the beginning of a broader artistic ascent. He was soon welcomed into the rapidly expanding world of television, appearing as a guest performer in well-known series such as Maverick, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and Route 66. Although these were not starring roles, Robert Redford used each opportunity to demonstrate range and resolve, moving fluidly between lighter tones and more introspective moments. Through this steady progression, he quietly positioned himself as a rising presence, an emerging talent whose adaptability and commitment hinted at a far greater future within Hollywood. Following his breakthrough on Broadway, Robert Redford soon drew the attention of influential film producers. With a compelling screen presence, quietly expressive eyes, and a flexibility that allowed him to move between emotional registers, he emerged as one of Hollywood's most promising young figures of the era. The motion picture that first introduced him to a wider national audience was Inside Daisy Clover, a project that marked an important turning point, signaling the arrival of an actor whose potential extended well beyond early expectations and hinting at a career poised for lasting impact. In that film, Robert Redford embodied a figure of quiet allure and subtle mystery, fusing outward confidence with an inner world rich in unspoken tension. This balance between strength and vulnerability gradually became a defining signature of his work, shaping characters that felt grounded, multidimensional, and deeply engaging. That momentum carried forward into 1969, when he appeared alongside Paul Newman in the action-tinged Western Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, a collaboration that would not only elevate his career, but also cement his place in cinematic history. In the film, Robert Redford stepped into the image of a refined yet elusive partner, seamlessly uniting traditional masculine confidence with a richly textured inner world. This subtle balance soon became a defining thread throughout his body of work, portraits of individuals who projected strength while carrying emotional complexity beneath the surface. That artistic identity reached a decisive moment in 1969, when he was selected to share the screen with Paul Newman in the action-infused Western Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, a collaboration that would help shape one of cinema's most enduring partnerships. From the early 1970s onward, Robert Redford became a constant presence in high-profile film productions, steadily solidifying his standing within the cinematic landscape. In 1972, he took on a particularly resonant role in The Candidate, portraying a Senate contender whose journey illuminated the subtle friction between idealism and authority. Through a measured and introspective performance, the film explored how principles are tested when ambition meets influence, further underscoring Redford's ability to choose stories that reflected broader social questions while remaining deeply human in focus. That same period saw Robert Redford embrace a markedly different tone in Jeremiah Johnson, a reflective tale centered on solitude, wilderness, and the quiet search for harmony elements that closely mirrored his personal connection to nature and inner stillness. The following year, in 1973, he shared the screen with Barbra Streisand in The Way We Were, a love story shaped by emotion, memory, and unfulfilled longing. The film further refined his public image, presenting him as a leading man defined not only by elegance and depth, but also by a rare emotional sensitivity that resonated powerfully with audiences across generations. That same year, Robert Redford reunited with Paul Newman in The Sting, released in Vietnam as The Clue, a cleverly constructed crime comedy that captivated audiences with its wit, rhythm, and elegance. The film went on to receive the Academy Award for Best Picture, marking a defining moment in cinematic history. More than box office successes, these projects were embraced by critics for their craftsmanship and narrative intelligence, decisively confirming Redford's stature as one of the most admired, influential, and reliably compelling leading actors of his generation. The year 1976 became a defining crossroads in the career of Robert Redford, with All the President's Men released in Vietnam as Nung Ngui Qua Tong Tong, a project in which he served as both producer and leading actor. Inspired by real events that had sent shockwaves through American society, the film reflected not spectacle, but resolve. Redford demonstrated rare foresight by securing the story's rights even before the book reached the public, then devoted himself fully to shaping a work that balanced artistic discipline with civic responsibility. The result was a film that went beyond entertainment, quietly underscoring the essential role of integrity, investigation, and the written word in safeguarding truth within a democratic society. All the President's Men went on to receive 4 Academy Awards, including several major distinctions, reinforcing the idea that Robert Redford represented far more than surface appeal. He emerged as a filmmaker driven by perspective, intention, and a quiet sense of social responsibility. During this period, his public image crystallized into a signature aesthetic unadorned yet elegant, defined by understated clothing, soft silhouettes, and a composed, unforced presence. That restrained style, paired with an air of thoughtful confidence, resonated globally and became a visual reflection of the values he carried both on and off the screen. Closing the 1970s with an already distinguished standing, Robert Redford opened a fresh chapter by turning toward direction, a move that revealed a deeper layer of his creative ambition. Entering the 1980s, he surprised both audiences and critics by stepping behind the camera, guided by restraint rather than spectacle. His directorial debut arrived with Ordinary People, released in Vietnam as Gia Dinh Binh Thuong in 1980, a quietly powerful drama that explored the inner fractures of a middle-class American family as they navigated loss, silence, and emotional distance. Through measured storytelling and subtle observation, the film signaled Redford's emergence as a director capable of translating human complexity into thoughtful, enduring cinema. The film was met with widespread acclaim for its restrained yet deeply truthful exploration of loss, reconciliation, and the quiet strength found within family bonds. Ordinary People went on to earn 4 Academy Awards, including Best Director for Robert Redford, a milestone that affirmed his ability to translate emotional complexity into cinematic language. This recognition confirmed that his creative voice extended well beyond performance alone. Continuing along this path, Redford later directed The Milagro Beanfield War, a reflective narrative centered on a small rural community striving to safeguard its essential water source, further demonstrating his enduring interest in stories where human dignity, collective identity, and social conscience quietly take center stage. If you believe Robert Redford stands as a true icon whose contributions have left a lasting imprint on cinema, leave a 1-inch in the comments below. If you see his legacy from a different angle or hold another view, feel free to share a 0. Every perspective adds to the conversation. Enjoy the video, and remember to like and share it to help the channel grow. Most importantly, subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming stories and insights. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey.